Good afternoon, welcome back to the show. 12:52 is the time. I'm Julia Hartley-Brewer. Let's get straight to my last guest. Actually, the interesting thing, this is a topic we've been talking about all week, but yeah, the Afghanistan issue rather overtaken the news. But the BBC has axed now both presenters of MasterChef. Yesterday, John Torode found out apparently from seeing in the media that he had also been sacked alongside Gregg Wallace, who was sacked a week ago over behaviour whilst working on the show. But is this the BBC doing the right thing, or is this the BBC basically operating a scorched earth policy, throwing everyone under the bus in a bid to protect BBC executives from losing their jobs? Let's talk to a former BBC executive, Roger Bolton. Very good afternoon to you, Roger.
And to you, Julia.
Thank you for joining us. It does appear that the accusations against John Torode very, very different from Gregg Wallace, and he identified himself as the person who was, not named in the big report carried out into what had happened at MasterChef by Banjay Productions, saying that he had been accused of saying an unacceptable racial word in either 2018 or 2019. No one even knows what year, let alone what the actual event where this had happened. Apparently, it was all accepted by everyone involved that he wasn't malicious. Whether he was using lyrics of a song or not, we don't know. And that no one thought there was any particular issue there. But he has now been sacked, apparently, we are told, for using that word, possibly in 2018, possibly in 2019, some years ago. Was that the right decision by the BBC, or do you think something else is going on here?
I don't think something else is going on there, but I don't know. The problem is we don't know the word that was used. The report was conducted by solicitors independently for the independent company, not by the BBC. And the BBC obviously thought that what happened was serious enough to sack John. I don't know. That's the point. What we do know. The other case, first case, is that, what went on for a very long period. A large number of people were found very uncomfortable and offended, and that the person involved doesn't really understand himself and his own behaviour. I think
you're talking about Gregg Wallace. I mean, a lot of the allegations against him, it transpired when we saw the details. The majority were upheld, but actually most of them had taken place long before 2018. He'd apparently been given a talking to, had changed his behaviour and had massively improved. And even at that point, I'm thinking, well.
Hold on. You made the statement he's massively improved. We had after 1918.
We're told.
2018. We don't know. What we do know is that separately, a BBC News investigation uncovered 50 more complaints. I think the truth is we don't know whether he altered his behaviour or not. But what seemed to be from his reaction, and by the way, he put his retaliation in first, didn't he, to try and influence the way the debate went, it doesn't show a lot of self-knowledge.
No, indeed. This claim about autism and the like, and I don't think anyone's really buying a lot of that. But the John Torode issue seems very different. Now, look, I think we'd all heard in the business that, both men, frankly, were a bit of a pain to work with. I think but let's face it, you know as well as I do, a lot of big stars are. Some are very lovely, some frankly, are monsters. And we know it in many organisations, actually, a lot of people are allowed to behave, when they become those big stars, they get away with behaviour which no one else would be able to get away with. But my issue with, say, John Torode, now, again, I've no idea what happened. I don't know what the word was. But if someone, a few years ago, but no one can really remember when, heard him say a word, he says doesn't even know what he said, which was apparently a racial word. Now, but it wasn't meant maliciously, like he was quoting something or whatever he was doing, that should be someone should earn the sack for that. I find that utterly extraordinary because if he was walking around, and no one seems to be claiming this, racially abusing people or saying outrageously racist things, you know what, I don't want him employed on the BBC. But that's not what the allegation is.
Well, hold on a second. The fact is we don't know. I mean, I share with you a concern about free speech being, there's a danger to free speech here. But equally, we're talking about young people, in particular in the industry, on short-term contracts.
Oh, sod them. Young people complain about someone looking at them in the wrong tone of voice, for goodness sake.
Oh, well, I'm glad. Thank another balanced contribution. Thank you very much, Julia.
No, it is my balanced contribution. I genuinely think most young people will be better off getting a slap rather than being pandered to. Yes, I genuinely believe that.
That's a nice generalised comment. But okay, fine. We come back to the basic question is we don't know enough about the detail. We should know more. I agree with you there's a worry about free speech. But also, I mean, lawyers on the whole don't say something in a report unless they're absolutely 100% it's true and that it is deeply offensive.
But they didn't even know what year he'd said it.
Well, All I can say to you is we need more information, but that for you to jump to the conclusion, which you imply, that this guy's been unjustly fired because of something which wasn't very important.
We're given the reason we have been given is because of this racial word, even though the report says they accept it wasn't said in a malicious way. That's insane. If they were saying, but there are actually lots of other things we're not going to go into, they haven't said that.
Well, I agree that there should be more information about that, but you're leaping to conclusions on the basis of no evidence and on your own prejudices. You know, I'm doubtless prejudiced, but you are on this one. You're jumping to one assumption
Listen, I don't watch the show. I don't hold a candle for either of these guys. If there's been wrongdoing, my concern is if, as we have been told, this is why he has been sacked, that's what it appears the BBC have told his agent, unless everyone's lying, that's an absurd reason for someone to be sacked.
Look at the report by Lewis Silkin, the lawyers. Look what they say.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And on the basis of that, it's serious. Now, I agree with you.
No, it's not. No. Someone not maliciously using a racial word, possibly 6 years ago, possibly 5 years ago, is not serious. No, it's not.
That is your interpretation.
No, I'm not interpreting anything. That's what they said in the report by Lewis Silkin.
Well, I'm saying two things, I suppose, in the end. One is, in this particular instance, we don't have enough information. We should have more. Yeah. Secondly, the question of trust. You do not have trust in either, it would appear, the BBC or those solicitors. I have more trust than you do, but we need more evidence before we can generalise that this is, in any sense, a real threat to freedom of speech.
OK, all right then, we'll agree on that. Roger Bolton, former BBC executive, Matthew Larser, just coming in on this. I mean, again, I don't watch the show. I don't care whether MasterChef is on or not, but I don't want people being sacked because they said a word no one's quite sure when they did, and they didn't say it maliciously. That is terrifying to me.
It's got to be, if you do something that's wrong, you need to be punished for it and face the consequences.
If you've done something wrong.
But not for hurty words. I can tell you, when I worked for the BBC, a lot worse happened to me, but that's a story for another day.
Oh, now he says that.